Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm super excited to share with you a summary of the book, Why Startups Fail, by Tom Eisenmann. As a founder, you know that starting a business is a journey that requires grit, ingenuity, and courage. But how do you avoid the common pitfalls that lead to failure? That's what we're going to cover in this video. We'll be exploring a framework that evaluates the key components of a startup and helps you identify potential weaknesses. You'll learn about the 6 core reasons why startups fail and the 4 crucial opportunities you need to succeed. We'll also bust some common myths, like the idea that having millions of dollars in venture capital automatically guarantees success. And we'll delve into why having growing customer numbers isn't always a guarantee of success either. So, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this video is packed with valuable insights that you won't want to miss. So sit back, grab a pen and paper, and let's start learning about how to steer your startup towards success. Idea number 1. Are you ready to take your venture to the next level? Because today, we're diving into some valuable insights from Professor Tom Eisenmann of Harvard Business School. This guy has been studying startups for over 20 years, but even he was caught off guard when 2 ventures founded by his former students failed. So, he decided to get to the bottom of it and find out why startups fail. And let me tell you, he uncovered some serious gold. He created a framework that identifies 4 crucial opportunities every startup has for success. These opportunities, like your brilliant idea, technology and operations, profit formula, and marketing, all need to work together to create, build, manage, and sell a product or service in a profitable way. Think of it this way: these opportunities are your racehorse, and the people involved in your startup are the jockey. The jockey needs to complement both the racehorse and the startup as a whole to win the race. So, if you want to evaluate the health of your startup, you need this reliable framework. It's a great way to check in and make sure you're on the right track. And if not, it's never too late to course correct and steer your startup towards success. So buckle up, grab a notepad, and let's get started. It's time to give your startup the boost it deserves. Idea number 2. Let's talk about the importance of having industry knowledge when starting a business. Did you know that even the brightest and most motivated founders can fall flat if they lack industry expertise? Take Quincy Apparel, for example. Founders Alexandra Nelson and Christina Wallace had a great idea, killer marketing strategies, and a solid profit formula. But, when it came to the garment production, they just didn't have the necessary industry knowledge, and it ultimately led to the downfall of their company. Lesson learned, my friends. If your startup is in a field outside of your expertise, don't let that hold you back from success. You can bring on a knowledgeable co-founder, partner with an expert, or educate yourself on the industry. Trust me, having a clear understanding of the field will help you avoid costly mistakes and make your startup a success. Idea number 3. Want to hear a story about a founder who didn't understand their customers and ended up failing? It's a classic case of, don't fall in love with your idea before you know if it's worth it. Sunil Nagaraj, a Harvard Business School grad, had a brilliant idea for a dating software that matches folks based on their online behavior. Sounds cool, right? Well, he quickly realized that the software wasn't working on most of the volunteers' computers, but he pressed on anyway. Here's the thing. He didn't take the time to understand his customers, and instead, made assumptions about what they wanted. He thought they'd be willing to pay a premium for his fancy, triangulated software, and he didn't think about their privacy concerns. The lesson here is that founders need to resist the urge to act before they've done their homework. Creating a minimum viable product, MVP, is great, but it should only happen after you've thoroughly understood everything about your customers and designed with their needs in mind. Don't be like Sunil and make a false start. Do your research first and make sure you have a product that people actually want. Idea number 4. Lindsay Hyde started a pet care company called Baru, and it was a total hit with pet owners in a South Boston building. 70% of pet owners were using Baru's high-touch services, and before she knew it, 4 more buildings signed up. Baru was expanding left and right, from 25 buildings in Chicago to DC and NYC. But hold on, the good times didn't last forever. By mid-2017, Baru's finances were in rough shape, and by February 2018, Lindsay had to throw in the towel. Why did this pet care company go from rough to ruin? Lack of analysis. Lindsay failed to see if those early adopters in South Boston were the real deal, representing the broader market. False positives can be a sneaky thing. When a founder assumes that everyone else will love their product as much as the first few customers. But in Lindsay's case, the success was due to specific circumstances, like a brand new building with residents who were part of a film crew and needed help with their pets. The mainstream market was never going to be as enthusiastic. So, don't let the same thing happen to you. Before you scale up, make sure you've analyzed whether early adopters are representative of the wider market. Scaling too quickly without proper demand can lead to failure, just like Baru. Let's make sure we avoid any false positives and reach true success. Idea number 5. Are you thinking of scaling your startup quickly? Well, hold your horses because it's not always the best idea. Just ask Fab.com, a flash sale site that sold unique furniture and household items. At first, things were looking up with experienced entrepreneur Jason Goldberg at the helm and over $170 million in venture capital. The site was killing it in its first 12 days, raking in $600,000 in sales. But things took a turn for the worse when the company expanded into Europe and found itself burning through $14 million a month to stay afloat. In the end, Fab had to shut down its US operations completely. Why did this happen? The answer is simple. They scaled too quickly. This is where the speed trap comes into play. When a startup sees strong initial success and has plenty of investment to finance rapid growth, they may fall into this trap. The problem is that initial success may just be a saturation of the market and not a sign of mainstream success. So, how do you avoid the speed trap? Enter the RAWI test. RAWI stands for ready, able, willing, and impelled. Take a step back and evaluate if your startup is ready. Does it have a proven business model, a customer base with room for growth, and a high enough profit margin? Able. Does it have access to resources and staff needed to scale quickly? Willing. Are you, as the founder, willing to take on the increased workload and stress that comes with scaling? Impelled. Is scaling necessary to stay ahead of competitors, or is the cost of gaining new customers too high? By reviewing these points on a quarterly basis, you'll have a better idea of whether it's the right time to scale. Don't just charge ahead without considering the potential for growth. Scaling too quickly can lead to failure, just like it did for Fab.com. Idea number 6. Startups without the right senior management, well, they just don't make it. Just take a look at Dot & Bow, the e-commerce company that sold home decor as curated packages. They were killing it, with $15 million in revenue in 2014 alone. But they fell short because of the lack of experience in their senior management team. Their vice president of operations had a fancy CV, but no e-commerce experience, which led to some major operational blunders. Like choosing an ERP system that just couldn't handle the variations in delivery times from different suppliers. This resulted in missed or late deliveries, unhappy customers, and staff working overtime to express ship orders. All of which took a toll on the company's profits. So, what's the lesson here? You need the right people in the right place, and that means specialists over generalists. If you're not quite ready for a senior specialist, go for a mid-level one instead. They'll bring the expertise your company needs without breaking the bank. And remember, without the right jockey, your racehorse won't make it to the finish line. So, choose wisely and make sure your senior management team is ready to handle the ups and downs of startup life. Idea number 7. Ambition is the name of the game in the world of startups. But here's the thing. Sometimes our big dreams can be a bit too, well, big. That's what happened to Shai Agassi and his electric car company, Better Place. Even with a mission to reduce the environmental impact of household vehicles and a whopping $900 million in investment, the company only sold a mere 1,500 cars. Why? His vision was just a little too ambitious for the market to handle. The moral of the story? Overly ambitious ventures are susceptible to failure. But don't worry, there are ways to mitigate that risk. When pursuing something high risk like Agassi, remember that change can be scary for folks, so try to make your innovation easy for them to adopt. Get feedback from focus groups, create prototypes, and most importantly, be honest about your potential customer pool. By being realistic, you'll make it easier to project how long it will take to recoup any investments and avoid setting unattainable sales targets. Idea number 8. Let's talk about the silver lining in startup failure. Yup, you heard it right. There's a light at the end of the tunnel even if your startup doesn't take off. Take Christina Wallace, for example. After her women's clothing startup, Quincy Apparel, went belly up, she was left with debt, a broken dream, and feeling like a failure. But she didn't let that defeat her. The key takeaway here is, recovery from failure is possible. First up, it's time for the R word, recovery. This is where you take care of yourself, financially and emotionally. It's common to accrue debt and neglect relationships during the startup hustle, so now's the time to focus on getting back on track. Embrace healthy habits, reach out for support, and do things that bring joy to your life. Next, it's time for reflection. This is where you examine what went wrong and what you can learn from it. It's not easy to be objective, but it's crucial to overcome the urge to blame others and take ownership of your own mistakes. This is a valuable learning opportunity. And finally, it's time for re-entry. Around 50% of failed entrepreneurs go on to start new ventures. This time, you can use what you learned in the reflection phase to make your new business plan even better. Articulate to investors how your experiences have shaped your new approach, and show them that you're starting from a place of wisdom and experience. So, there you have it. Failure doesn't have to be the end of the road. By following the 3 R's, you can bounce back and set yourself up for even more success. Summary. So, have you ever wondered why some startups fail despite having a great idea and team? Well, turns out the answer might not be as simple as it seems. Don't fall into the trap of oversimplifying the reasons for failure. It's important to dig deeper and learn from your experiences. That's where a solid framework comes in handy. By regularly evaluating your startup's health, you can identify potential issues before they become problems. And in case of failure, the same framework will guide you in figuring out what went wrong and how to avoid making the same mistakes in the future. And here's a tip that can help you avoid failure altogether: hire an executive coach. As a founder, you might be so passionate and determined that you forget to listen to others and take feedback. That's where a coach comes in. They'll help you be more aware of your leadership style and keep you on track. So, you can lead your team to success, and not just failure. Now, the insights and knowledge I gained from reading Why Startups Fail were phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Thank you for taking the time to watch, and if you found value in this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more great content. Trust me, you won't regret it.